So if you look at my YouTube comments, you'll see one very popular question. Varun, can you make a video on how to network as a teenager? See, I've said this before, right? When you're young, what works is what you know, your skills. And as you get older, what works is who you know. And your question is, Varun, I'm from a tier 2 city or a tier 3 city. How do I meet and build this network that you guys have built? How do I replicate that? And in this video, I am going to answer that question for you. Ready? Here goes. In my opinion, the best networking tool right now, especially for the business world, is Twitter. If you can follow the right people on Twitter and interact with their comments, could be as simple as saying, great post or wow. And as long as you don't change your DP, people recognize you. So the next time you need something, you can actually comment and then say, hey, can you please check your DMs? Because what happens is your DMs will go into the others folder on Twitter and they might not always see it. So it's good to remind them over a comment that, hey, I've sent you a DM. Now the thing is, the way to solidify this relationship is to ask for a Zoom call. To say, hey, can we get on a Zoom call to exchange notes? This is the line you got to use. Now obviously you can't send this message to a Kunal Shah and expect him to reply. Right? He's not going to do that. So my suggestion is, as a step one, create a network with people like you. Somebody doing stuff, maybe it could be an 18-year-old who's doing well, it could be a 21-year-old who's doing well, somebody who just started their first company. Network with those sort of people. Create peers. Don't try to create mentors right now. They will not come to you unless you've already started doing something on your own. Create peers. Once you're done talking to them, what generally happens is people forget. You've done a Zoom call with somebody and then that fizzles out. 6 months later, you even forgot you spoke to that person. So my suggestion is that you send them a small gift. Now you might say, gift? That costs money. But you don't have to send an expensive gift. It could be a card, it could be chocolates. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be thoughtful. And you have to send it to their house with your logo or your name or whatever it is. And now you're on the map with that person. That person will remember you no matter what happens. So it is important for you to solidify your place in that person's memory after you've done the Zoom call. Now, obviously, this is going to help you network with a lot of peers. But one way to up your game and to get peers who are a little bit ahead in the industry, maybe 3 or 4 years ahead in the industry, is to actually go to conferences. Now, people shit on conferences, and conferences generally are a waste for like big CEOs and stuff because it doesn't add too much value to them. Unless you're in SaaS. It adds a lot of value to SaaS companies, but you should go to conference and just have a goal of networking and hand out your gifts. And the advantage with this is that you can always go to them for a job later. That's the cool part about networking with these people, right? There's so much opportunity unlocked for you. People shake hands with a lot of people and then forget them at conferences. But conferences is a great way to meet people. You need to go with the intentionality to network. I've seen a lot of people go to conferences but are introverts. They don't talk to anybody, they just sit in their own place. You have to put on your game face. Put on the networking persona even if you're an introvert. I have done this. If I can successfully do this over my life, so can you. All you have to do is put on a persona, go talk to random people, embarrass yourself. Who gives a shit? That is the way to network. Embarrassment is the path to networking. You do it a few times, you get better at it. The next thing is to add value in communities. This could be on Reddit. This could be on Scenes. And yeah, we run Scenes. It's a plug. But hey, you can go on Scenes. You can go on Discord communities. Get a tag. Because there's so many people on a Discord community and they all have fake names. If you get a tag, people recognize you. You get some clout. In fact, Martin, who's our video editor, used to have a tag on our Discord server. And because we recognized him from there and we saw some of his work, we ended up hiring him. So try and get a tag because that differentiates you. In the online world, it's very hard to differentiate between people, but the minute you have a tag in a good server, people know who you are. So try getting that if you're playing this entire networking game digitally. And you might ask how to get a tag. Be active. Contribute to conversation. Add value. Like I said, it all comes back to either engagement or value. And people notice, man, when you are adding value to somebody, or when you're creating engagement for their app or for their community, people do notice. And you can also reach out to a lot of companies. You can use tools like Snov.io or Lucia to actually reach out to founders and companies and give them suggestions, product suggestions. You could email the founder of, say, Scenes, which is me, and tell me, hey, Varun, I think you should do this, this. I might not reply, but I will remember your name. And that is a way to get noticed, right? You're giving somebody feedback. Feedback is so valuable to a founder. It takes 5 minutes to give somebody feedback, right? And 90% of you don't do it because you're lazy. You want to do it, you have the intentionality, but you don't do it because you're either lazy or nervous, or you're like, I'm going to send this and I'm not going to get a reply, so what's the point? Well, yes, you won't get a reply, but you will be remembered. And if you can reach the same person through multiple angles and add some value to them for free, say I'm willing to spend 1 day of my time helping you find the gaps in ABCD, or I'm willing to use my skills to help you find the gaps here. We had a guy who came to us and said, I'll help you do QA for free. And now we're hiring that person. So it's just how it works. Now I have 2 suggestions here. The first one is don't network with ultra busy people. Try or start with your peers and also go, maybe one step forward, one step forward. Don't try on day 1 to get into a Kunal Shah's inbox or a Prakhar's inbox or a Sam Altman's inbox. They're not going to reply to you. They're ultra busy people and you are just going to discourage yourself. You are just going to say, shit, I sent these DMs and not one reply. So there's no point of sending DMs. Send somebody who's less busy, who gets less notifications. Finally, one piece of advice I need to tell you is one of the best networkers I've seen in recent times is Prakhar. I'm talking about Prakhar Ke Pravachan, right? When Prakhar actually started as part of the Avalon community. He was in the Avalon community. Then he got to know me. We did a podcast together. And then he shamelessly asked me for 3 or 4 intros. And I did. I gave him those intros because he asked me in earnest. And he was willing to give me intros if I need them as well. And then he took those 4 intros and to each of those people he asked for 4 more intros, depending on whether those people had a connection to the people he wanted or not. He realized early that DMing is not as good as warm intros. If I give you an intro to somebody, they are 100 times more likely to reply to you than if you DM them, for obvious reasons. So it is better to go through people. You just need one person to take a chance on you first. And it doesn't have to be the most successful, ultra rich person. It could also be a peer 2 or 3 years ahead of you in terms of their career. Find those people, get in touch with them, make good friends with them and ask them for those intros and move forward. And finally, remember that you can't just reach out to those people and say, hey, talk to me. You have to add some value to their life. You have to create some value asset, right? Either you have some market intelligence or you worked in a specific space or you've created a market report and you're willing to run through the market report with these people. It could be anything. Or you're willing to do video editing for them. You need to have one hook that gets that person's attention. People are busy. They want something in return, especially the biggest people. They want something in return because there are millions of people who want their time. So they think of their time as money. So they're like, what do I get in return? Think in those terms and you will eventually build a network. It's a slow, steady process. And even if you don't need somebody right now, it's a good idea to build a network with them because you never know when you'll need them. And vice versa. The larger the network, the more resilient you are to misfortune. Remember that. Bye.